I was fascinated with this particular piece, Shadow.
Michelle, I understand that the way that you worked with Toshi was a little unusual here.
We had a number of ideas going into the show about some of the things that we wanted to present. And we also just kind of had some general vibes. Like we started the closer, the three of us collaborated on the closer, and we had that pocket, and we each developed phrases and material that linked into one another's material. We created most of that. Actually, we created all of that, with a few exceptions, including a tempo change, and gave that to the band.
So the dance came first.
Well, not all of it. This was hard. That's what Toshi asked us to do, and we were like, what? So we did that. We came up with a few ideas for the couples piece, where you see the three couples, each choreographed by one of us. And we came up, I had an idea for the opener. I was excited about building sort of like that kind of back and forth with, and just to start the show with the taps kind of composing the build into the music. And other than that, maybe one other work, and we basically gave them to Toshi, and we were like, this is tough because music so charges us emotionally. And, we had a lot of ideas, but, we came up with that. We gave them to her. She went to the recording studio and then laid down like 16 tracks in 2 days. I will say this, she wanted to spend more time with us in the studio while we were working. And I've seen, she came in one time, she'll sing into a recorder, she'll sing musical ideas while she's listening to taps or seeing things. She's worked with other dancers before as well, but never tapped before. What she would say if she were here, she just said, I realized this is part of my score, of course, this is part of the musical score. So once the songs were written, there were really, the only things that we modified were structure, and I had told her basically the number of bars I wanted the opener to be, and it ended up being 7 minutes, and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right, that's a little much.
Dormeshia, tonight we saw something a little different than I'd seen in the show before, you working with the drummer. Yeah, can you tell us about how you worked that out and...
I said a little prayer before I came out. No, really, there was no... She came to me, Toshi said, I might let Allison go ahead and take the solo tonight, so just, is that okay? And I said, well, sure, it's totally fine. We had no idea, where is she? We had no idea what was gonna happen. I came out, I really had no idea, so it's just a matter of, we were listening and just kind of grooving. I would set a groove, she'd pick it up, she would set a groove, I'd pick it up. We were just playing.
So the question was about the range of musical styles and how that was conceived.
That was honestly entirely Toshi's direction as musical director. We had many conversations leading into it, and then the three of us each, were speaking to her as well. But she made it a point that this is not going to be all Delta blues. This is going to be how the blues are manifest in our culture. And that's also the way we feel about tap dance. There's this, she said, and I remember her calling me and being like, we need to do a Zydeco number. I'm recording a Zydeco number. And thinking, and then the three of us are like, well, clearly this is an opportunity to show the roots, of the roots of our form. So that also led us in a direction too, her choice to sort of cover a great range. But I think that's also so important because that's what we aim to do with our art form as choreographers, as soloists. The range of our form, but while always holding on to the tradition, is so powerful and innovative, and there's so many possibilities. So I think Toshi, the partner between the two art forms in that journey, is one of the most important, to show both the tradition and the possibility. And there were a few things that I definitely wanted. One was, that 6/8 feeling blues. That I knew, I communicated that, which is that slow, she calls it blues slow. But that was something I said, I definitely want this 6/8 feel, because it was something I was working in and I was excited about. But everything else, like, we really, you know, once we heard I Got a Woman, we realized, oh, that's the couple's idea. That's what we've been working on. That's the piece. And we adapted from there. So, and then the closer is a great example. The end of the closer, all of that music from the tempo change through to the end, that was developed in the room the week before the premiere. But that was really exciting. That was really fun. And then Dormeshia and I actually had a session after that where we kind of locked in some counterpoint at the very end. Remember that section? So we kind of like found some other ways to sit in that percussively too and build that. Derick had conversations with Toshi about his solo. That's really interesting too. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say there's so much thought behind every song, like hours of conversation before the music's written. And I was at a certain place in my life, in my relationship. You know, I'll be together with my wife 20 years now, celebrating our 18th anniversary, so it's been a long time. You know.
There you go. You got it.
It's not easy, so I appreciate that. But that song was written at a time when there was some turbulence, I'll say. And now, after having that breakthrough, we're in a completely different place. So my mindset coming out into that song is different. So we've been talking, again, we've revisited the conversation because, you know, my life is different. So that's just an example of how things could change and do change over time.
Okay, so this is a question about the total body approach to choreographing tap, and she's remarking how Michelle has a very individual style, and she's wondering how she works with the other dancers.
Well, I also wanted to address something because the old style is really full-bodied. Yeah, think about Jimmy Slide. I mean, the master hoofers are master stylists. Think of the Nicholas brothers. Talk about full-bodied. Both of them had double hip replacements. Like Fair and Harold. So it's interesting because I think we've also had this conversation as a generation. What is a hoofer versus a tap dancer? There's a lot of stuff that we talk about. Hoofing is from the waist down or from the ground up, but the hoofers, the performer versus the musician. But you look at the hoofers, you look at Chuck Green, huge, full-bodied, open arms, light as a feather, but a big guy. You look at Jimmy Slide, you look at Bunny Briggs, you look at these guys, and they're such incredible dancers, such incredible full-body dancers. I so admire that, and honestly, like, I so admire these two as full-body dancers, both incredibly unique and also an homage to our tradition. So I'm just exploring like an ability to be able to do that and to move and to create. Sometimes the things I'm thinking about, it's more about I want to freeze in this place where I feel like I feel what this sound sounds like. Sometimes that's what I think. Like a toe, I can hit my toe. I can hit the tip of my toe. It's a low sound. So that doesn't really feel like a low sound unless I get low. So then I get low to hear this low sound at the tip of my toe. So there's sometimes that inspires it. And then other times it's more, I just feel something in, you know, my core and I want to, you know, you want to make this music, but your body wants to explode at the same time. Just all that to say, like, I so admire them both as musicians and dancers. And I'm learning every night in this show. And I think that's another reason I love this show and being a part of this show. I love learning. I love stealing from them, you know. But I don't mean that, you know, we say that with love. I do, I mean it, but I say it with love. Like, I'm inspired to go practice. I'm inspired to, I mean, that's like the most I could ever ask for an artist. They make me want to go do what I want to do. It's unreal. So I'm grateful, and I want to say, always take this opportunity to say thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.